Hi, I'm Jackie, and I'd just like to say welcome to my Pilates and mobility classes. I'm calling them Age Strong because they're primarily for people in midlife, but obviously you're very welcome to join even if you're a bit younger, or if you just want something that's a bit more gentle than what I'd call their normal Pilates classes. And what we're going to include here is quite a lot of mobility, which is really sort of, I think, important as we're growing older. Including for myself. So, what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of very short background. So, I used to be in my 20s and 30s, I was a computer programmer. So, I did a lot of sitting at a desk, and I've always been quite into my fitness, and I used to have horses when I was younger. And so, I've always wanted to be doing things rather than sitting. And I just found the sitting was just too much for me. And I just got really into Pilates in the 90s, actually. And I started to do a couple of different types of classes. And I just kept the principles going over the years until 2002. I started to train as a fitness instructor. And I also started to have my children. And just really went into the fitness and nutrition industry from that day onwards. Came out of computing and IT and just went into the fitness and health industry. And this is where I am today. I'm now a qualified Pilates instructor. I qualified in 2014, and I've been teaching Pilates classes ever since, in person and online. So, welcome. And anything I'd like to go through really is this is going to be I call it like a 4-week course, but if you're doing this online, you could actually, it's a 4-part course. And the overall goal is to really strengthen your muscles, improve your flexibility and mobility. Mobility, again, is really important, really to improve all these areas as you go through your midlife years. We want to stay strong and mobile as we get older. We don't want to go backwards, we want to go forwards. So I'm going to help you find your core and activate your core. I'm going to help you improve balance and stability and help with better posture and actually make you more aware of your posture as well. And also with Pilates, it can really help make your everyday movements more, um, what's the word? I've got it here, easier. Yes, just making movements easier for you. Things that you might have found a bit harder or you might have been a bit stiff. It helps to just kind of loosen the body off. And it may even help with injury prevention as well. Also improves balance and stability. Have I said that already? Hopefully not. I'm going to help you strengthen and activate your glute muscles, which the glute muscles are very much involved in hip stability. So it's great to keep them activated. It can also help with reducing risk of lower back, hip and knee pain too. And I'm also going to help work with you with your upper body mobility, shoulders, neck. I'm also going to be we're going to be working with our toes, toes and toe mobility, because it's quite important. Toes help to stabilize your body. You don't really think about it, do you? But yes, they definitely help. So we do a little bit of work with toes, also wrists and feet in general, ankles, calf muscles as well. So we're going to be working in standing position, sitting in all fours position, lying on our side and lying on our back. And if you need to use a chair for the standing exercises, that's absolutely fine. You can just have it to the side. It's just a bit of comfort and just knowing it's there just in case. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to do this class with you, and I'm going to go through the beginner's principles of Pilates and just give you a very brief overview of Pilates. So Pilates was actually put together by someone called Joseph Pilates. He was German. He put this method together and he called it controlology. And he ended up actually moving to New York and running his studio over there for many years until he passed away in his 80s. But so many principles as in, being very precise about movement. When we do fitness these days, a lot of people don't really think about what they're doing. And I look in the gym, I find it really difficult when I go to the gym. I go to a senior circuits class. Some of the people, things like doing a squat, and I just look at their squats and think, oh my God, it's so wrong. And the the person that's running it is not correcting them or helping, correct them. So it's a bit frustrating. But so what I try to teach is I try to be very precise with movement. So in class, I can come round and help people and help position them correctly. So online, I try to explain it a bit more thoroughly to help you understand how to do it properly. So without further ado, we're going to get started. This is our session 1 of 4 sessions that I'm going to record. And what I'm going to do first is, but for now, we'll just get a little warm up started. And once we've got a little warm up standing and we've done a few mobility exercises, we'll go down onto the mat. So we're starting with just some heel lifts. So all you need to do is warm up into the feet and the ankles. Pilates is best done when it's a slightly warmer room. And I have run classes before in very cold rooms, and it doesn't feel good. So what you might feel is just where where the toes join onto the feet, the joints, those areas might feel a little bit tight, a bit of stiff. And then what we're going to do is just bring the heels down, and now you're just going to lift all the toes up. And really I do it with my fingers to sort of show you, lift the toes and try and spread them a little bit as well. And then just relax them down. See if you can take the big toe first and then the rest. And then you're going to lift again. And then you're going to relax from the little toes to the big toe. Good. Okay. The next thing is we're going to take just one foot forward. So we're going to put our left foot forward, right foot back. And we're going to push the heel down into the mat. And we're just going to lift and lower, lift and lower. So you can feel that in the toes. And then you can also feel the calf muscles stretching. Okay, let's try that on the other side. So let's just bring the foot forward, change it over, take that one back, all the way back so you feel the stretch in your calf muscles. These are your calf muscles. And now you're going to lift and get your balance as well. Lift and lower. Good. Now bring that foot forward and just walking it out. So we're just going to take the feet from side to side. And then we're going to try a little bit of balance work. And what we're going to do, we're just going to lift the knee. Ooh. It's because I'm on 2 mats here. Lift the knee and bring it down. I'm going to come off the mat for a second. I'm a bit further forward. I'm going to lift the knee. That's it. And bring it down. And lift. And this is really working. It's working in your brain as well to help try and keep you stable and steady. So it's good. It's good not just for the physical side of the body and the balance, but what's going on up here. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to take the hips and we're just going to roll them round. So we're just gradually going up through the body. And then we're going to change direction. And then we're going to come back to facing forwards. Now we're going to do a little bit of work on the upper body. So we're going to take the hands together. We're going to stretch the fingers. We're going to take it up. And then just spread out like that. And then we're going to come forwards again. Stretch into the fingers. So get that really good stretch. And then I'm going to take it back up. And again, just take it all the way around. Now for the shoulders, we could just do actually, let's do circles forwards. first of all, mm, like that. And then we're going to go behind to wherever sort of range of movement you're comfortable with. Good. And then just roll the shoulders a couple of times. You're going to squeeze and release. I love this. Squeeze and release, because then you can really feel that release. Okay, brilliant. Next thing, we're going to do a little bit of wrist agility work. So we're going to take the hands out in front of us, and then we're just going to change the direction. So you can feel a bit of a pull here, and then we're going to go up again, pushing, sort of pushing the hands away from you, and then down, and then up and down. Okay, lovely. Give that a shake. Now what we're going to do, before we go down to the floor, we're going to do one more exercise, just keeping it short. We're going to be standing about hip width apart, and you're going to take one leg out to the side. That would be your right leg. And you're going to put your weight into your left leg and just lean slightly. And then what I want you to do is just do squeeze and release. So you're squeezing into these glute muscles, and we're trying not to move the body, because what people will do is this. So we're trying to keep that stability. And even if you could only just take it off a little bit, or you might need a chair. If you feel like you can't stay um, balanced, then use a chair to help, because what we're trying to do is really work into these glute muscles. And you should feel it here as well, the standing leg. And then just walk it out. It just releases everything off. And then we'll take it to the other side, lean a little bit, just get a good weight into that standing leg, and then try it on that side. Sometimes you do, yeah, you kind of lose your balance at first sometimes, and do whatever you want to with your hands and your arms just to help with the balance. One leg's always a little bit more compromised. One of my new clients said she really likes that exercise. I like it actually. It's nice and easy to do when you're just doing, you could do that while you're making a cup of tea or something. You could just feel like you've done something, and you really kind of start to activate the glute, especially the glute medius muscle, but the glute muscles in general. Right. Okay. Right. I have two mats, because usually I use that one for the yoga mats for standing, and then the Pilates mat is for Pilates. So we're starting in an all fours position. Okay. So with this all fours position, it looks quite easy, but actually sometimes we have to do a few corrections. And normally what will happen is people will be a bit like this. They'll have their bottom back a bit, and they're probably doing this as well, sticking their bottom out a little bit. So what we try to do is I try and get people to just tuck up, think about pulling up through the abdominals, through that belly button, and bring the shoulders over your wrists as well. And I know for some people that can be quite difficult. And in the future, if you do want to continue with Pilates, I do encourage you to buy these blocks. I've got links on my website for these if you're interested. But they're just brilliant. They just take a bit of pressure off the wrists. And we've used them in the 11 years that I've been teaching Pilates. These are still the same blocks and the same mat. So you can use that to take the pressure off. If not, you just stay as you are. And then we're just going to start. This is quite hard to teach online, but you're going to let the chest drop, and then you're going to push away. And what we're thinking about, if you think about your shoulder blades, they're coming in to meet each other. Now I'm pushing them away. Now they're coming in to meet, and I'm pushing them away. But it is hard. I have to come round normally to check people to see what they're doing, because quite often they're doing this. So no elbows bend in this exercise. Okay, so we'll just do that for a little bit, and then what we'll do is we're just going to push the bottom away, because I want you to feel that sensation. of what it's like when you push the bottom away, you get a stretch in your back. And then I want you to think about tucking under here. So think about belly, belly, tuck, 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 and round the back off. Let the head drop. So you can feel that rounding. And then you want to reverse it so it goes all the way the other way, back to where we started. So you're just going to feel that stretch in your back and then it's stretch or contraction into your abdominals. And this will help you start to think about what's happening, what the sensation is when your abs contract. Because that's quite important because you need to know what that sensation and how that feels to actually activate them. And if you've never activated them before, it takes a bit to get used to it. Okay, so we're just going back into position. So I'm going to let you take the weight off your wrists because I feel it as well. I think as you get older, wrists become a lot more weak, a lot weaker. We'll do an arm stretch. So you're back in position, your hips are over your knees, your shoulders are over your wrists. You're just going to take one arm out and stretch and bring it back in. And so what we're looking for is quite often what people do is they'll just do this. So if you're in a fitness class, they'd probably go like that. But what we're looking for is to keep the rest of the body stable. And that will then start to work and utilize the abdominal muscles. So by taking that arm away, I'm trying to stay in that exactly same position as I was in when I was actually with arms and hands down. And that's the difference, really. Okay, let's just try it with the legs. It's a little bit more, let's just readjust a little bit. Well, I'm going to take one leg behind and then I'm going to bring it in. And again, what people do is they'll lean to compensate. What we want to do is we don't want to compensate. We want to utilize the abs. So I'm going to tuck my tummy under a little bit and then I'm going to push that leg out. Bring it back in. Relax. Pull that nose just slightly. Bring that leg and I breathe out as I stretch. Breathe in. Now I'm just going to stretch the arms out and we're just going to keep it to that. Keep it very simple. And you can just do a little stretch like this. Okay. Side. Let's do side work. So what we do when we come onto our side, we just come down onto our elbow first. Pull all our clothes down so they don't get all ruffled up, especially if it's cold. And then we're going to stretch. So some people have issues with their shoulders. If you have issues, you could find a cushion or a couple of the blocks and you can work in this position like this. If your shoulders are okay and you don't have any rotator cuff problems or any shoulder issues that would prevent you from doing that, you can come into this position. And if you're able to, it's a better position because you can get a more elongated position and body. And then I'm going to get you to stretch out the top leg. The bottom leg stays bent. Now, the reason being, it helps to keep you quite balanced. Otherwise, you're going to lose balance easily. And that's more advanced. And then what I want you to do is I want you to try and think about, it's a bit weird, you want to lift under the waist. So I always like put my fingers under. And what that does is it kind of contracts this area and that will help with stability. So see how you get on. You're just going to start with a circle. And you're stretching that leg away. So if you've never done this before, this is going to be hard. And if you need to take a rest, because what will happen is you're going to feel it here. If you're finding this okay, you can go a little bit larger. But the main thing is we don't want to be moving the hips like that. Let's try the different direction, opposite direction. And again, stretching out. We're keeping it simple today. And then bring that leg down. Now, if there's any pain there, just do this. Just have a little pat around. It will help release it off. And then we're just going to bend the knees. Again, today's going to be just a kind of a brief introduction. We're bringing the knees together. This is called the clam position. Now, feet, I quite often see feet all over the place. Try and bring the feet in line with your bottom. And even though I say it all the time, people don't do it. And I have to go in and correct. But anyway, keep the feet together. And now we're just going to try and open and close. Keeping the feet down, open and close. Now you might feel that, especially if you've got any issues in the hip area. And this is where it's sort of activating this area. We're going to do one more, and then we'll bring that down. And come up however you want to. Obviously, if you need to have a pat first. And then just come up onto your elbows and come up to seated, because we want to do obviously the same thing on the other side. And just take your time, no rush. And then come down. So let's see how we do it on time. We're back into this position, or of course your hands can be in front, so you don't have to put any pressure on your shoulders. We're going to straighten that top leg. The bottom leg is bent. We want to keep that stability. Oh, the other thing I forgot to say was the hips. It's hard to do this when you're thinking about it online, but a lot of people will be in this position because it's maybe more comfortable or very far forward. So always try to get your hips so they're stacked. The best thing to do is just run your hand down just to kind of check. It gives you an idea. So once you're stretched out, we've got that little lift under your waist. And now we're going to lift that leg, and we can start with a small circle first and relax the shoulder. Do you know what happens so easily is that it tenses up? And I notice it, then I sort of call it out because I think other people must be doing it as well. And then if you feel okay, you can go a little bit larger. If not, don't worry. And if you need to stop, that's fine. Now we're going to change direction. This is just a great exercise. And we're trying to stay stable there. We're not moving the hips backwards and forwards, are we? No. Good. Okay, now bring that leg down. Feel free to give yourselves a pat if you need, if it feels a bit, ooh. And then we're going to bring the knees together. And again, we've got the feet roughly in line with your bottom. And we're going to keep the feet down on the floor. And we're just going to open that clam and close it. And open. And there's lots of variations of clam, but this is the one just to get started as a beginner. We've got lots of other things we can do over the next few sessions. How's that feeling? Let's just do 2 more. Good. And then just feel free to straighten it if you want to and give yourselves a pat. That's all we're going to do on our side today. Let's come from this position. Sometimes I just go onto my front, onto my elbow. And what we'll do is we'll come up to seated first. But what we're going to do is we're going to come onto our backs. So just make your readjustments. See, I always use a block under my head. And I think that's partly because if you've got any kind of forward head posture issues, which most people do have these days, sometimes people do feel they need that extra support. It's not the best thing because obviously we're not correcting it by doing that, but there are exercises we can do in Pilates that will help to hopefully, you know, start correction of the forward head posture. So we're going to just bring ourselves down. So however you want to, onto your back. And yeah, just get yourself comfortable. So what you're going to do, you're going to breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, you'll stretch the leg away and then you breathe in. When we do a lot of the movements, as you do a movement, we tend to breathe out, and that's when that tends to help stabilize the spine. So you're breathing in. Let's try the other leg. Breathe out, breathe in. And what I'm going to show you is normally, if you were to take your leg out like this, what people would do is they'll let the back lift. And then as they bring it in, they'll bring the back in. What we're trying to do as a Pilates movement, we're trying to stabilize this area so it doesn't change position. So as you breathe out, so even with using the breathing or not using the breathing, because at first it's too much to take in, we want to keep this position so it doesn't move rather than this. Can you see the gap there? And then the more you do this, the more you'll think about it in general everyday moves to help stabilize the core and stabilize your body to hopefully help prevent from injury. So let's just try this with the opposite arm. So what we're going to do is it'd be the right arm, left leg. You're just going to take this out and as far as you can go, wherever you feel comfortable. So what we're looking at, so I tend to breathe out when I do that and then breathe in. But whether you do or don't, it's all right at the moment. What I'm looking for now is nice stability here. And you should feel something, a pull here, and then bring it back in. If you just let your body go, you won't feel a pull, you just feel it in your back. So let's try that again, keeping that neutral. We call it a neutral spine, a little pull there, and then try the other side. Again, I can feel it pulling because this area is staying in position. It's hard to explain at first, so I hope hope it's making sense. Okay, let's move on from there, as we don't have much time. What we're going to do now is the feet are flat on the floor. We're just going to see if we can squeeze our glutes. We're going to go into a bridge position and just lift the bottom and release. So this is a very small move to start with, and then you squeeze and lift a little bit higher, and then relax all the way through the vertebrae. And let's try that again, all the way up and down. This is what we're doing. We're going into what we call a shoulder bridge, and we'll be doing lots of exercises within this position. But what I've seen a lot, if you come back down, what I see a lot in photos and in videos is people go into shoulder bridge position, but then they do this because that makes them go higher. But we don't want that. We don't want that to happen. We don't want the back coming into play in that position. So all we do is we squeeze the glutes, and it's the glutes that just do the work. Well, as well as the quads and a bit of core. And then we roll. Okay. That's something we'll look at in the next session as well. And I just want to show you one more thing for this in this position, which I call it crook position. It was what I was taught to call it. We're going to bring one leg up. Oh, yes. Let's just explain this. So what happens is if you train them forward a little bit, we're going to bring one leg up and we're going to tap and bring it up and tap. Now, what would normally happen, now we're thinking about what's going on here, is you'd lift up and you'd probably tap like this. Look at that space there. Oh, that's coming forwards. Oh, tap. All that space. So what we're trying to do, as I've just sort of mentioned before, is we want to keep a sort of a neutral position. So that might be the back might be slightly imprinted on the mat, or it might be slightly lifted, whatever feels comfortable for you when you're in this position. So when you lift the leg up, nothing changes here, and you tap and you lift and you tap. I can feel something happening here. It's working hard to stop me from lifting up like that. Let's try it on the other side. I'm going to lift and we're going to tap and go a bit further maybe. But what I'm trying to show you is that this is staying in the same position. Now you can try that. That's a beginner level. If your back is happy with it, this will go up to one more level before we finish on our backs. This is called tabletop position. What a lot of people do is they sort of come into this position because it's a bit more comfortable for their backs. But if you can, we really want to try and get into this position where the knee is over the hips, which is quite hard to do because naturally you want to feel more comfortable like this. And then from this position, if it feels okay, you're going to tap and bring it up. Now, while you're doing that, the back must stay imprinted. Don't let it lift. And it might be hard to do that at first. So tap and lift. Try the other side. Tap and lift. Some people cheat by going, oh, quickly, let's do it. But to be honest, the slower you do it, the harder it is. So in class, some people will do it this way. Other people, it's too much. So they have to come back down, always one at a time. They come back down to this position and they do it like this. And it's absolutely fine, whichever way works for you. Okay, so that was tabletop toe taps, or it's toe taps without the tabletop. Now we're going to come back to seated. Now you have lots of different ways. You can come onto your side, come up onto your elbow, or if you feel comfortable with it, you can lift and you can just come up like this. And I think pretty much if we look at timings, I'm going to finish there. So how I tend to finish is we either come into a seated cross-legged position. Obviously, a lot of people can't do that, and so you have obviously the choice of just coming into a seated position like this, or even some people might want to sit like this. Whatever works for you. I'm going to do this today. And what we do is we shrug the shoulders a couple of times. So we squeeze the shoulders up to your ears, and then we release. And then we take the arms out and we're going to do a breath in through the nose and a breath out through the mouth and a breath in and out. Brilliant. Okay, so that's our session one over for beginners Pilates and mobility. I'll see you in session two, and we will be looking at doing some prone work as well, which will be work on our fronts, as well as doing side work and work on our backs, and maybe some seated work. We're going to develop this through the next few sessions. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and like this video. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one.